The southern African night lay still, as if even the wind had forgotten to breathe. The air carried the faint salt of the sea and the quiet scent of an old storm. President Ibrahim Traoré sat buried in his usual files when a young soldier burst into the room. In his trembling hand was an old, cracked mobile phone. "Sir," he said breathlessly, "this video came to us anonymously, sent by a woman. Her name, Ayasama Khate." Traoré's hands froze. That name, he hadn't heard it in years. His mother's distant niece. She lived now in a small coastal village somewhere along the southern shores of Africa, doing social work. He pressed play. The screen filled with smoke and screams. Shards of broken glass glimmered among rubble. A woman was crying. In her hands were the shattered remains of small herbal drink bottles. From behind the camera came a trembling voice, Ayasama's. "This is our chief, Khate. He comes every day. He takes money from the women, he beats the children, and if anyone refuses, he destroys their stalls. Yesterday he burned mine. Please, help us." When the video ended, the room fell silent. Traoré clenched his fists. This is not theft. This is terror. On the table before him lay an unfolded map of the nation. He touched a small dot along the southern coast, the same village where Ayasama lived. "I'll go myself," he said quietly. Then louder, "Not as an order, as a duty. When the law cannot reach the oppressed, then leadership must walk there itself." That night, under the cover of darkness, a jeep slipped quietly out from the back gate of the presidential palace. No protocol, no convoy. Only Ibrahim, 2 trusted officers, and a broken coastal road that led to the sea. When the headlights swept across the sand, Traoré murmured, "If the cries of these women can reach me, then the power of their oppressor will reach me too, and this time, silence will not be my answer." Lightning flashed across the distant waves. The jeep sped toward the village, throwing sand into the night. At the entrance of the coast hung a weathered wooden plank. "Welcome to the territory of Khate." Traoré ran his fingers over the board. Dust clung to his skin. Oppression always writes its name so that history may erase it. At that very moment, his phone vibrated. Another message. "Tomorrow he will come again. If we survive, maybe you'll never see this message." Traoré looked toward the sky. "Tomorrow," he said softly, "the sun will rise over your village as the first light of justice."
Dawn broke over the southern African coast. The wind carried the scent of salt and smoke, the same smoke that rose last night from Aisama's burned stall. Aisama, 30 years old, strong yet weary, sat under a coconut tree collecting the caps of broken bottles. Her hands were wounded, but her eyes held no fear, only a silent anger. She was a sign of hope for the women of her village, the one who taught them that even a little courage could change a life. At the far end of the beach, the roar of an engine grew. It was Khate. His truck crawled toward the village like a beast in heat. 4 men sat beside him, armed with iron rods, their faces smeared with arrogance. Among villagers, he was called the Devil of the Dunes. His rule was simple: whoever earns, serves me. The jeep stopped before Aisama. Sand blew across her face as he stepped out. "O woman, still arranging your bottles. What did I tell you yesterday?" Aisama bowed slightly. "I'm poor, chief. I only wish to earn my living." Laughed. "To earn on my coast, you need my permission." "I've registered with the district office," she said timidly. "My permission is the only paper that counts," he roared, signaling to his men. One kicked over her small refrigerator. The bottles shattered, spilling golden herbal liquid across the sand. Another laughed. "Did you bring the money we asked for yesterday?" Her voice shook. "I have only 50 francs. I'll pay the rest tomorrow." Snatched the coins and threw them in the sand. "Mercy doesn't sell on my coast. Pay the full tax by tomorrow, or next time it'll be your house that burns." His words struck like gunfire. The women clutched their children. No one dared to speak. Lit a cigarette. "Anyone who helps this woman," he sneered, "will share her fate." Then his jeep roared away. leaving dust and dread behind. Tears slid down Isama's cheeks. She picked up her phone, took a photo of the wreckage, burned wood, broken bottles, coins half buried in sand, and sent it through a secret link. 2 words accompany the image: "He came again." By evening, silence ruled the village. Everyone knew something would happen tomorrow. No one knew that this time, justice itself was coming.
Morning came with a blanket of mist over the coast. An old olive-green jeep crept slowly across the sand. Behind the wheel sat Ibrahim Traoré, no presidential seal, no escort of soldiers. He wore plain clothes, an old canvas bag slung across his shoulder. No trace of power, only the quiet resolve of a man whose presence could make enemies tremble on a battlefield. 2 loyal companions rode with him. He had ordered them to call him only captain, so no one would suspect that the head of the nation was among them. The road stretched lonely and endless. Children played barefoot outside mud huts. Women grilled fish over small fires. Yet their eyes held a quiet fear, as if each second could be shattered by a shout. At a bend in the road, a wooden sign stood planted in the sand. "Pay tax to Kate, live in peace." Ibrahim stopped the jeep and stared. Carved deep into the wood were the words of tyranny, sharp as metal. A faint smile crossed his lips. When the law gives a tyrant the right to tax, revolution is not far away. He stepped into the village's main path. The people stared at him, an unfamiliar face, calm yet unreadable. An old fisherman, his back bent with age, whispered, "Traveler, don't stay long. This coast belongs to Kate." "Is he truly that dangerous?" Ibrahim asked softly. The old man gave a hollow laugh. "Not dangerous, hungry. He swallows ransom, dignity, everything. Those who speak vanish by morning." Ibrahim sat quietly on a clay bench. He looked around. Broken stalls, children's empty bowls. The sea's roar drowning human voices. The coast seemed to whisper pain itself. Then she appeared, Isama. A scarf covered her head. Exhaustion covered her face. "Captain, you're the one I sent the message to?" He nodded. "I came to hear your voice, and to see why your tears have learned silence." She led him to the corner of the coast where the fire had burned last night. The smell of ash still lingered. "This is where we sold herbal drinks," she said. "His men come every day, take money. Yesterday, I refused. They burned everything." Ibrahim knelt, running his hand through the sand. "Sand cools after it burns," he said quietly. "But when humans burn in fear, their ashes never cool." Isama's voice trembled. "He'll come again tomorrow, at noon." Ibrahim looked up toward the sky, as if making a promise to the sun. "Then tomorrow," he said, "the sun will rise not with heat, but with fire."
By noon the next day, the coast was still. Even the sea seemed to hold its breath, waiting. Isama pointed toward an old coconut tree. "Hide there, Captain. He always comes at this hour, when the sun rises with his cruelty." Ibrahim crouched behind the tree. Women hurried to hide their bottles and goods. Some pushed their children inside their huts. Then it came the growl of a black SUV. Music blasted, laughter echoed, arrogance rode the wind. Had arrived. Villagers knew the sound. When his car came, silence meant survival. He stepped out, black glasses, gold rings, leather jacket soaked with pride. 4 thugs followed, carrying sticks and chains. "My brave men," shouted. "Look at these women. They still don't understand. This land is not theirs, it's mine." One of his men laughed. "Let's teach them a lesson, Chief." The first blow fell on a young boy who sold coconuts with his mother. "Please, Chief," he cried, "let us go. We'll pay tomorrow." Slapped him so hard he fell onto the sand. "I am the law," he roared. "My coast, my law." Behind the tree, Ibrahim watched, fists tight, breathing heavy. He wanted to act, but he waited, for proof, for justice to be seen. Umsa walked to Aisama's rebuilt stall. Her bottles stood again in neat rows. "Oh woman," he barked, "I burned your stall yesterday. Today I'll burn your courage." He kicked the stand, bottles smashed, yellow herbal drinks spreading through the sand, like the coast itself was bleeding. Ibrahim pulled a phone from his bag. He began recording. His guards waited quietly in the distance. Aisama stood firm. Her voice was calm, strong. "One day this land will swallow you, Umsa." He laughed, a venomous sound. "The land swallow me? I am the land." Then a voice came from behind. "Let's see whose land it really is." Umsa turned. The wind stopped. The air thickened. Ibrahim stepped forward from the shadows. The sun burned overhead, yet darkness seemed to descend. Justice was near. The coast itself could feel it. The broken glass in the sand shimmered like 1,000 tiny witnesses ready to testify. Umsa faced him with a smirk. He didn't recognize him. Not the face of a president, only a stranger, maybe a traitor, maybe a fool. "Oh, another newcomer," he scoffed. "This is my coast. Here even a shadow must pay my tax to breathe." Ibrahim looked straight into his eyes. "This coast was made by God, not owned by your father." Umsa sneered. "Do you always talk so brave? I teach people here how to stay silent." He gestured to his men. "Bind the stranger. Let them see what happens when someone talks too much." 2 men charged forward, one with a rod, the other with a rope. Ibrahim stepped back, not in fear, but in precision. "I never fight until I'm sure the opponent is still human." "What did you say?" Umsa roared. Ibrahim's voice cut through the air like steel. "Man is not known by strength, but by justice, and you've lost both." That sentence sliced through Umsa's pride like a blade. "Get him!" he screamed. The men lunged, but Ibrahim moved like lightning. He twisted one man's arm, slammed his elbow into another's chest. Both hit the sand. Shock flashed across Umsa's face. You're no ordinary man." Ibrahim's lips curved slightly. "I'm ordinary, but I don't bow to tyranny." Then Aisama cried out, "This is the moment we've waited for all these years!" Men and women poured from their huts, holding sticks, bamboo poles, even old goalposts. Umsa stumbled back as his men gathered around him. Ibrahim raised a hand. "Not yet," he said. "Let the law speak before anger does." He pulled a small radio from his pocket, tuned a secret frequency, and spoke. "Operation Nile Blue, immediate response requested." Umsa felt the ground shift beneath his feet. The gulls screamed above the sea. Ibrahim looked toward Aisama. "Tomorrow justice will descend upon this sand, and then we'll see whose land this is, God's or the oppressor's."
The next afternoon, the sun blazed like a torch over the coast. The villagers, who once hid behind locked doors, stood outside now. No one knew what exactly would happen, but the air smelled of faith, the scent of justice about to rise. Aisama gathered the women. "Not today," she said. "We will not hide. Today, we'll see what truth costs to speak." The crowd gathered on the sand. An improvised stage had been built, a curtain of old jute sacks hanging behind it. Behind that curtain stood Ibrahim, dressed plainly, holding a small speaker in one hand and the same phone in his pocket, the one with yesterday's recording of Umsa's brutality. At the far end, a black SUV rolled into view. Umsa stepped out, surrounded by 4 armed thugs. His arrogance still intact, his pride thick as smoke. "What circus is this?" he shouted. A villager's voice, trembling, answered, "Today is the people's day." Umsa's face twisted. "The people," he barked, "the people are beneath my feet." He shoved a woman aside, but before she fell, a firm hand caught her. It was Ibrahim. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Aisama stepped forward and said loudly, "This is the man you called a stranger. He is our protector, our president, Ibrahim Traoré." Color drained from Umsa's face. His guards stepped back. The crowd froze, a silence deeper than the sea.
Ibrahim took the microphone. "I have heard your cries," he said. "I have seen the fear in your eyes for years. Now the time has come for that fear to end." He lifted his phone high. The screen lit up, and the video began to play for all to see. There was Umza, beating, burning, laughing at the suffering of women and children. The crowd stirred. Women sobbed. Men clenched their fists in rage. Ibrahim's voice thundered. "This is your so-called chief, who robs in the name of protection, who tramples the honor of women, who calls himself law while breaking every law." Umza's lips quivered. "It's all lies," he screamed. "Isama has framed me." Ibrahim stepped closer. "Every lie stands naked before truth today. You betrayed your people, and now the law will answer you." From the distance came the roar of engines. 2 Navy vehicles drove across the sand, followed by police trucks and journalists. Ibrahim raised his hand and said calmly, "Arrest him." For a heartbeat, everything froze. Then the crowd erupted. The first chant rose like thunder. "Power belongs to the people. Justice belongs to Ibrahim." The coast trembled with their voices. The throne of fear had cracked. As Navy soldiers surrounded the SUV, dust swirled across the beach. Engines rumbled. The crowd saw, for the first time, the true power of their government, a power not to oppress, but to protect. Ibrahim turned to them and said softly, "No one needs to fear anymore. Today, the law stands with you." But Umza's pride still wouldn't break. He shouted, "I'm the chosen leader. You have no right to humiliate me." Ibrahim looked him in the eyes. "You were never chosen. You were imposed. Your rule stood on fear, and today it sinks like sand." Sweat glistened on Umza's forehead. He reached under his jacket and drew a pistol. "Anyone who comes near, I'll shoot." The crowd screamed. Mothers pulled their children close. But Ibrahim didn't flinch. He stepped forward, eyes locked on the tyrant. "Your only weapon is fear," he said, voice steady. "And I came here to end that fear." A Navy officer, quick as lightning, moved in from the side. He lunged, knocking the gun from Umza's hand. It hit the sand. Umza turned to flee, but 2 soldiers grabbed him. He struggled, shouting, "I'm the chief! Let me go!" Ibrahim stepped near, leaned close, and whispered, "A true leader protects his people. You stole from them. You starved them. You're no chief. You're a prisoner."
Umza's men tried to resist, throwing stones and striking at the soldiers. But a single warning shot cracked through the air. The echo silenced the beach. One by one, they dropped their weapons. Handcuffs clicked. For the first time, the villagers saw their oppressor fall face first into the sand. No one clapped. No one shouted. Only silence and belief. Tears rolled down Isama's face. She whispered, "This is the same ground we once trembled upon. Today, it bears witness to justice." Ibrahim nodded. He signaled to the soldiers. They tied Umza with rope and dragged him toward the Navy boat. He kicked, cursed, screamed, but his voice was swallowed by the wind. Phones lifted in the air. The villagers recorded the moment. Within minutes, the video spread across Africa under one name, Justice on the Sand. As the Navy boat pushed into the water, Ibrahim ordered, "Drag him through the sea. For every inch he dragged his people." The waves roared. Umza's body thrashed, his pride dissolved in salt and sand. Blood mixed with the tide. But for the first time, freedom shimmered on the faces of the people. The sun began to set. The horizon burned gold and red. But this dusk was not of morning. It was victory. The Navy boat moved farther out, the rope trailing behind. Umza Kate, once the tyrant of the dunes, now gasped beneath the mercy of the sea. His fine jacket torn, his voice broken. Yesterday, he had been the storm. Today, it was its prey. Hundreds stood watching, women, men, children. For
For the first time, they saw justice alive, breathing, visible. Some wept, some fell to their knees. Some looked to the sky and whispered, "We never dreamed this day would come." In the crowd, Isama raised a bottle, the same herbal bottle that had shattered days before. She held it high and cried, "This is the fragrance of justice. This coast belongs to us now." Ibrahim watched from afar. No pride, no smile, only peace. He knew victory doesn't come from a weapon. It comes when the fear dies in the hearts of the people. An officer came to him and said, "Sir, the video is everywhere now. Across Africa, people call it justice on the sand." Ibrahim looked to the sky where the sun sank into the sea. When the earth speaks, the heavens bear witness. Then quietly, even if justice is written on sand, the sea cannot wash it away. The coast echoed with chants. "Long live justice! Ibrahim, our protector! Isama, our sister!" The same shore that once wept, now laughed. Women reopened their stalls. Children ran to the water. The young men built a fire from the wood that once burned their fear. They named it Light for All.
Days passed. The sea still carried the scent of salt and freedom. Umza and his men rotted in prison now, but their shadow lingered on the coast like a fading scar. Still, the air felt lighter. The people had begun to breathe again. Under Ibrahim Traoré's leadership, a new order was taking shape, one built on dignity, labor, and justice. No more fear, no more silence. He sat with his team by the shore, a map spread across the sand. "This place," he said, "will not only be a fish market, it will become a center of hope. Women's cooperatives, a school for the children, a shared harbor for the fishermen." Isama, now the people's representative, stood beside him. Her voice was steady. "We women are ready. We'll make our herbal drinks again, but now we'll pay no tax except to justice." The reconstruction began the next morning. Navy soldiers built huts from wood and bamboo. The men brought stones from the sea. The women painted with their own hands. The coast that once symbolized fear now pulsed with life. Children laughed where screams once echoed. The sound of hammers replaced the sound of burning. Isama's stall reopened first, its new name Sahil Saf, the coast of justice. Golden bottles lined the shelf, turmeric, lemon, ginger, glowing under the sun. Above them hung a wooden sign, made by the hands that once trembled under tyranny. Ibrahim read it, smiled slightly, and said, "When the people begin to write their own story, the oppressors no longer need history to record their fall." In the center of the coast, a small school began to rise. Its wall carried a single line: "Where justice speaks, knowledge never stays silent." Every evening, the children gathered around Ibrahim. He told them stories of his childhood, of his mother, and the day he learned that true power is not in the gun, but in conviction. Isama often watched from a distance, smiling quietly. She knew now that this village no longer needed a ruler, it needed conscience. A week later, the story reached every corner of the nation. Headlines read, "President Ibrahim Traoré's Southern Mission, where tyranny drowned and hope rose." Social media called it #the new Burkina spirit. 2 weeks passed. The coast had changed forever. No more fear in the footprints on the sand, only the marks of women, children, and workers. Each morning, the scent of Isama's herbal bottles drifted across the village, the smell of turmeric, lemon, and freedom. At evening, people gathered at the same shore to talk about their day. Fishermen, mothers, young boys. Those who once bowed now looked each other in the eye and smiled. Then came the day of Ibrahim's departure. The Navy boat waited by the water, its flag waving in the sea breeze. The villagers had gathered,
hundreds of them, faces lit with gratitude. Isama stepped forward, holding 2 small bottles, one of turmeric, one of ginger. "These are the signs of our labor," she said softly. "For you, brother. When you're tired, look at them. Remember that justice is never wasted." Ibrahim took them gently. "And you," he said, "remember, your courage awakened the soul of this nation. If every woman were like you, no tyrant would need a throne." Applause rippled through the crowd. An old fisherman stepped closer, voice trembling. "Mr. President," he said, "we are proud that you walked among us. For the first time, we saw a leader on the ground, not on a chair." Ibrahim clasped his hand. "Leadership is only sacred when it walks through the dust of its people's footsteps." Children ran along the shore waving small flags painted in bright colors. On them were words written in chalk. "We are free because justice has awakened." The boat's engine started. Ibrahim turned to the crowd one last time. He met Isama's eyes and said, "Remember, oppression can end once, but to keep justice alive, courage must rise every day." Her eyes shone. "We will," she said. "We'll awaken courage every morning, like the sun rising from the sea." Ibrahim stepped aboard. The boat roared, cutting through the water. Waves rose, spraying the sky with light. The villagers waved. Some smiled, some cried, some whispered prayers. Ibrahim looked back, one last time, at the coast that had become sacred. The sun was setting behind the sea. Across the sand, the sign of Sahil-e-Insaf glowed in the dying light. Time itself seemed to pause. The end of tyranny, the victory of the people, and the faith of one woman turned into history. As the boat vanished into the horizon, the waves hummed softly. No longer a sound of despair, but a song of justice, written on the sand.